I mean, let's be real. Joe Biden's old. He's too old. He's gonna die any day soon. Instead of being in the White House, he should be in a retirement home.
Don't be bamboozled by these cable channels. It is war on Trump. It is war on the Republican Party. Don't be bamboozled by these cable channels. I did everything right and they indicted me.
What is up, motherfuckers? How are y'all doing? So I saw a debate between Trump and Biden. Let me just say, I was just as disappointed as all of you. God damn it! Right when we need to beat that orange monkey, the old dogfish is fucking us up so badly.
Oh, it is so Jover.
I think now will be a good time to go over this debate and fact check the issues that I feel like are the most important. So the first important issue that's brought up in this debate is the economy. And what do the old dumbasses have to say about the economy?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us.
Yeah, I already bugged the whole "we had the greatest economy in American history" in my Sarah Huckabee Sanders video, which will be in the description. But holy shit, do the lies never stop. And I keep hearing Trump supporters say the exact same shit over and over and over again, when it's already debunked. Oh well, might as well debunk it again. The common talking point I hear from Trump supporters is that, under Trump, gas prices were low. And as I explained in my Sarah Huckabee Sanders video, the reason why gas prices were low in 2020 is because of COVID. During COVID, there were lockdowns, meaning people drove less and therefore needed less gas. And I remember very well in 2016, Trump said that if he were president, he'd create jobs. Well, that was a fucking lie. Because under Trump, more jobs were lost than created. But what about the old dogfish? What's his take on the economy?
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax cut, benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America.
Holy fuck. This guy can't even talk. He looked like he's about to die. So that was the debate on the economy. Now we're going to talk about immigration.
Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position.
Yeah, they endorse your position, but they don't endorse you, Brandon.
In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Oh my God. Oh, why he's making an ass of himself right here. How embarrassing. But just to respond to his point, the old dogfish attacks the orange monkey for separating kids from their parents. Yet he's doing the exact same thing. Fucking hypocrite. And if you want to know which president did the most deportations in my lifetime, it's fucking Obama. And who was vice president back then?
We had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump.
Bruh, people were coming in under your presidency too. So what do you mean we had the safest border in American history? You drag queen looking ape. And what is with all these Republicans acting like Joe Biden's all open borders when he's continuing Trump's policies of building the wall and deporting families? It's so hilarious that whenever a Democrat does right-wing policies, the GOP's all like, oh, they're so far left. Oh, they're communists. Meanwhile, all the shitlibs in mainstream media defend their actions. Oh, but they won't be defending them if it's a Republican doing it. And Trump's claim that, oh, well, these illegal immigrants are doing crimes here, is an exaggeration, when more crimes are being committed by people that already live here. Finally, the last issue I want to talk about in this debate, foreign policy.
I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
Actually, the withdrawal from Afghanistan was the greatest thing Joe Biden did as president. And it's so stupid that it cost him the little popularity that he had. Obviously, I'm no fan of Biden. But to be mad at him for doing something right, it's just saying it. Now, I know some people are mad at the old crutch because the U.S. didn't leave Afghanistan victorious. But if you actually look into the issue, the war was already lost before it began. And the U.S. president of Afghanistan was not helping things at all. And about the whole, if I was president, Russia would have never invaded Ukraine. If I was president, Hamas would have never invaded Israel. That is
nothing but some bullshit.
Because if you listen to what Trump actually said in the past, he says he's going to send weapons to Ukraine just like Biden is doing.
And you know, Ukraine's an interesting case. People always want to know my feeling. Number one, we're in for 200 billion plus, and the European nations are in for 20 billion. And it's more important for them. And don't you think they should equalize? Nobody asks them. It's like I did with NATO. I said, we're paying for NATO, and we don't get so much out of it. And you know, I hate to tell you this about NATO. If we ever needed their help, let's say we were attacked, I don't believe they'd be there. I don't believe. I know the people. I know them. I can tell you country by country who would be there and who, but I don't believe they'd be there. But I took care of NATO. I said, you got to pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, we're not going to be there to support you. And the following day, the money came rolling into NATO. But the European nations, if you add them up, the economy is about the same size as the U.S., believe it or not. A lot of people are surprised. You add them all up, and they are in for about $20 billion, and we're in for $200 billion because we're stupid. All we have to do is say pay. Nobody ever says to them pay. You don't even hear that. I say pay. And they'll pay too. You have to equalize.
And with the whole Hamas would never invaded Israel, I feel like that was going to happen with or without Biden. Because as I said before, this whole conflict with Israel didn't start on October 7th. Instead, it started all the way back in 1948 when the Israelis forced Palestinians out of their homes. And you say that Iran was too broke to fund Hamas. Well, guess who's really funding Hamas? Adolf Netanyahu, who is America's puppet master. So that was the orangutan's take on foreign policy. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Hopefully the old dogfish will make things better.
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it.
And you look brain dead as hell. Just what we need to make things better.
This is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
Except that's not what you said in that clip that I showed earlier. See, this drag queen looking ape is right when he says that America is spending too much money on Ukraine, when they shouldn't. Yet his actions speak louder than his words. If you look back at his presidency, Donald Trump was just as pro-war as any president in my lifetime. Sure, he didn't start any wars, but he didn't do anything to end them either. In fact, he almost started another war when he killed that Iranian general in 2020. So obviously, Trump is lying his ass off when he says he wants to end the wars. But at least he's saying what Joe Biden should be saying when it comes to foreign policy. Because people are fed up with the old crutch supporting stupid-ass wars.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point.
Yeah, give Ukraine weapons and not money. Like if that were to make things better. Now sure, Vladimir Putin is wrong to invade Ukraine. But, as I always say, sending weapons to Ukraine is not going to help the Ukrainians. Instead, it'll cause Russia to use nuclear weapons and end all of humanity. In fact, sending weapons to Ukraine is a bad idea. Mainly because the Ukrainian military is full of Nazis. So that was the debate on the whole Russia-Ukraine war. Let's see if the two old pedophiles have anything else to say when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Everyone from the United Nations Security Council, straight through to the G7, to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself, have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas.
First of all, you need to be in a retirement home already. Second of all, don't act like Hamas wants war and Netanyahu wants peace. Because in reality, it's the other way around. Hamas has repeatedly proposed ceasefire deals with Israel, and they constantly reject them.
As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
It's so hilarious that Joe Biden constantly sucks Netanyahu's cock, and yet he's not pro-Israel enough for the Republicans. I mean, all this talk about wanting to end the wars go right out the window when it comes to Israel. But those were all the issues I want to go over in this debate. There were a lot more issues that were brought up here, but I don't feel like going over them because I don't want to make this video longer than what it already is. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know why. If you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe to my channel. And press the bell notification so you don't miss out on the next video. You never know when I upload. And if you could, please follow me on social media. My Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter, not X, are all in the description. So check me out there. And that's the end of the video. See you in the next one.
The charge is falsifying business records.
I will get Trump.
It's felony criminal conduct.
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get
The
him.
charge is falsifying business records.
They came up with a new one.
It's felony criminal conduct.
Indicting the 45th president